He was a terrible president. That's why he lost in a landslide after his one term.
You know, Jimmy Carter stands as a model of what it means to live a life of meaning.
He was even a worse ex-president. Had a huge ego and believed that he was unique.
Life of principle, faith, and humility. His life dedicated to others.
Even after the American people had roundly and soundly rejected his leadership.
We did our best to comfort him. We met with him down in Plains. We met with him anyway.
Welcome back to the DeVory Darkin Show. In this video today, Jimmy Carter's legacy gets destroyed by Scott Jennings on CNN. Trump also issues a special message to the GOP ahead of the confirmation hearings. And Kamala Harris gets a book deal. These stories and more in this video today, but let's start here.
Well, let me preface my take by offering condolences to the Carter family and on his death. He was obviously one of the most unique post-presidencies we ever had because he lived so long and he did so much. That having been said, he was a terrible president. That's why he lost in a landslide after his one term. And if it's possible, I think he was even a worse ex-president because of his meddling in U.S. foreign policy, because of his saddling up to dictators around the world, because of his vehement views, anti-Israel views, and more than dabbling in anti-Semitism over the years. He often vexed Democrats. Obama didn't even have him speak at his '08 convention. He put Bill Clinton in a terrible foreign policy box on a North Korea nuclear issue. I think he was a guy who had a huge ego and believed that he was uniquely positioned to do all these things, even after the American people had roundly and soundly rejected his leadership. So I respect people who run for president and get elected president, but in his particular case, I think he time and again proved why he was never suited for the office in the first place.
Now, bottom line up front, as president, he's one of the worst. There's no question. Now, post-presidency, you can argue he's one of the best humanitarians that we've ever seen. Now, let's put that to the side and just focus on three key reasons why he was one of the worst. Number one, 444 days, there was 52 American citizens that were held hostage by Iran. Number two, high inflation, high energy prices, similar to what we went through in the last 4 years. The economic situation was terrible for average Americans, and he wasn't really looked at as a great leader when he was president. So in a sense, you could see how his presidency is almost similar to Joe Biden in many different ways. And of course, you're going to have Democrats come out and sing all the praises of Jimmy Carter because he just passed away, and not really tell the truth about his presidency.
The entire Carter family, on behalf of the world, the whole nation, we send our whole heartfelt sympathies and gratitude. Our gratitude for sharing President Carter with us for so many years. You know, Jimmy Carter stands as a model of what it means to live a life of meaning and purpose. Life of principle, faith, and humility. His life dedicated to others. You know, he was like my dad. He thought that, you say, Joey, your job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about dignity, your dignity. About being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, everything's going to be okay. He believed, as I do, and many as you do, that that's absolutely possible.
Now, if you are a millennial, chances are you don't remember who Jimmy Carter is. In fact, the only probably huge memory you have at this point is seeing him on a gurney when they brought him outside during the election cycle of this past year, which I felt was really embarrassing, and that he only wanted to stay alive in order to vote for Kamala Harris because he believed that she would win. I just don't think that was a great way to go out, of course. But like everybody is saying, condolences, obviously, to the family. He is a former president, so there's a certain level of respect that he deserves. And it's okay to say that he wasn't a great president either, which is what will happen to Joe Biden as well. And for some of you guys, you love my honesty. And for some of you guys, you get a little pissed off. But I think this next story, when you talk about honesty, you might like. And this is Trump sending a special message to Congress ahead of the confirmation hearings for his cabinet. And here's that message from President-elect Trump. He wrote on Truth Social, "We just want a historic landslide and a mandate from the American people, but Senate Democrats are organizing to improperly stall and delay the confirmation process of many of our great nominees. They will try all sorts of tricks starting very soon. Republicans must not allow them to do that. We have a country to run and many big problems to solve, mostly created by Democrats. Republicans, be smart and tough." And some people believe this message is connected to this other story that's been going around on X, that Susie Wild, who is obviously President-elect Trump's incoming chief of staff, has instructed all cabinet nominees to refrain from using social media until their Senate confirmation, emphasizing that no one speaks for the president-elect or the incoming administration until officially appointed. Now, obviously, this is a smart strategy. It's called being very tactful and not speaking on issues that could obviously derail Trump from kicking off his presidency, let alone getting the cabinet confirmed. Now, it's also speculation that this is due to some of the recent controversial debates that have occurred, just like H-1B visa and many other situations over the past month, where nominees or individuals, particularly like Elon Musk or Vivek, are involved in conversations that really should not be happening at this moment, but should happen after Trump gets into office. Now, another conversation that's been taking place really right under the radar is this book deal for Kamala Harris, valued at $20 million. Yes, you heard me correctly. Now, this story was reported by the Daily Mail. Kamala Harris set to receive a whopping $20 million from top book publishers for a chance to peek into the skeletons in Biden's White House. Now, we'll actually see if that really happens. I don't believe that until I see it. However, Kamala Harris, who bizarrely blew through a record $1.5 billion on her failed presidential campaign, may soon earn some big bucks payback. Now, however, I don't see how she will retain that because, number one, clearly there are going to be fees. Someone's going to get a cut out of this $20 million, but she's in debt by $20 million. Her campaign is. So I'm sure she's going to have to answer for that as well. And the article goes on to say that virtually the moment Kamala lost to Trump, the offers began pouring in from the publishing world for her to do the definite book on what really went on between Joe and Kamala, what went right and what went wrong inside the Oval Office walls and all the ups and downs of her campaign. Also, it goes on to say that a prominent executive at one of the New York's top liberal-leaning publishing houses told DailyMail.com, more than anyone in the Biden White House, Kamala as the number two, and then as Joe Biden's campaign successor after he dropped out of the race, knows all the secrets, knows where all the skeletons are buried. She was there from the beginning of the administration and participated in all the presidential decisions, right or wrong. She's the one who can tell the consummate story. And lastly, here it says that it could be even more with TV and movie rights, magazine and newspaper serial rights, and like the Obamas who made a huge deal with Netflix, the monster streaming service is said to be waiting in the wings to do a deal with Kamala, we've heard. Let's just be honest here. We don't want to hear from Kamala Harris. We don't want to know about Kamala Harris. We don't want to see a documentary on Netflix about Kamala Harris. I mean, if you want to do a whole scandal documentary about Joe Biden and his mental acuity, sure. But I think at this point, Americans are tired and exhausted, and they want to move on from something better, right? And I don't think doing that deal is really going to have a return on investment. But hey, I'm not in the publishing industry. I'm just on YouTube. So what do I know? Now this takes us to the next story, because I do know this. No matter what our disagreements are within MAGA, the media is going to continue to put the focus on Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump, and any other person in MAGA for that record to distract us from the real corruption. And that is Joe Biden and those shady business deals that he was doing with his son. And here is Scott Jennings making that point because CNN wants to focus on how big of a conflict of interest Elon Musk is.
Do you have concerns about Elon Musk's business dealings in other countries, including American adversaries, and the level of influence that has over his own behavior and his interests?
I have no concerns about Elon Musk. I have been looking at pictures of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden meeting with Chinese political leaders lately that we were told didn't exist. So for all the people who are really upset about Elon Musk having a very successful international business that actually produces things, actually produces vehicles or rockets or whatever they're doing, the Bidens produce nothing, and yet we're also doing business in China. So I don't accept this.
I don't want you to change the subject, because it's not really about whether he's a successful business person or not. It's about whether his material interests as a business owner are in conflict with the United States' national security interests.
My view is his prospects and interests as a business owner and most of the things he's into, electric cars, rockets, the internet that we're using all over the world. It's good for the United States to be the warehouse for that. It's good for our national security to have this kind of technology. The idea that there is somehow a conflict in the United States having this kind of a businessman, and that's somehow bad for us, I just totally...
Now, as it pertains to Elon Musk, I already know I'm going to get some people in the comments section who are too emotional to hear anything I'm about to say. Here's the bottom line. Don't be so convicted in your beliefs that you lose the ability to think for yourself, okay? It is okay to disagree with Elon Musk and also love some of the things that he's done for our country. I love Tesla. I love SpaceX. I love that he got Trump reelected. He played a huge role in that. I love that about him. And I strongly disagree with how he's handling conservative voices on the X platform today, where his team or the algorithm is clearly censoring these individuals, demonetizing them, removing their verified badges, all because they disagreed with his H-1B visa stance. However, let's not get it twisted. We all are going to disagree on something, but what we can't do is get distracted from what the media is continuing to try to do, which is to put the focus on Elon Musk and not Joe Biden and the rest of the corruption that's been going on with the establishment.
This is why it's going to be so important for the Department of Justice to not be politicized. This wouldn't be the first time, as it's been ruminated, that there's going to be rumored that there's going to be a politicization of DOJ to go after enemies, retaliation. But it's going to be so important that DOJ has energized prosecutors who are ready to look into American business dealings with foreign entities and making sure that those foreign entities are not in any way meddling with American data, with our intellectual property. It's going to be a very key part of it. And Elon has a direct benefit to the government contracts, as Laura Loomer was talking about, that he receives from the federal government. His product goes into American government systems, and this is important national security concern.
I would just say, thank goodness he has contracts, because we have astronauts in outer space right now that we can't bring home. I guess he's going to bring them home in February. So maybe, thank goodness, somebody built a space company that can actually bring people back to the Earth.
I mean, it is incredible what SpaceX has done, and even actually what Tesla has done in jumpstarting the electric vehicle industry.
Okay, just look at the bigger picture here. They're more focused on Elon Musk's business dealings with China than they are with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. I find that to be so hypocritical. And it's the very reason why the Democratic Party pushed Elon Musk away in the first place. Now, Elon Musk is not the only individual within MAGA that people are split on. So is Speaker Mike Johnson. There are people who want to get him voted in because they think if we don't, Trump won't be certified, even though the certification is part of the Constitution. Doesn't matter who the Speaker of the House is. Just if you do your research, you'll find that to be the truth. But okay. And secondly, there are people, which I'm in this camp, that I'm done with Mike Johnson. And another individual who thinks that way is Congressman Chip Roy. Here he is on Fox Business saying this about Mike Johnson.
Yeah, and I have to follow up at this point, Congressman. Does he have that support or not?
Yeah, right now I don't believe that he has the votes on Friday, and I think we need to have the conference get together so that we can get united. And people say, well, Chip, who would you choose otherwise? There are a lot of great members of Congress. Mike's a friend, and maybe he can answer the call and he can deliver an agenda and a plan. Byron Donalds is a good man and a good friend. I supported him. I nominated him 2 years ago. Jim Jordan's a good man and a good friend. There are other members of leadership in the conference who could do the job.
Now, the most important question in this entire debate is, if it's not going to be Mike Johnson, then who? Well, again, you got Jim Jordan, Byron Donalds, and many others. But here's the real issue that I've noticed. Isn't it interesting that Mike Johnson will get majority of the votes from the House GOP, but Jim Jordan won't, or Byron Donalds won't either? What does that say about the current GOP in the House? I think that says that it's still dominated by the establishment. So the bottom line is this. One or two things are going to happen. Number one, Mike Johnson will go for the re-election, and it will take 3 rounds, 5 rounds, 10 rounds until he is finally elected. Or secondly, the House GOP makes the hard decision and they vote someone else in. And again, that may take 5 rounds, 10 rounds. It's going to be an interesting day, to say the least. But all I'm asking for is, can we elect a Speaker of the House who will prove through their results that they will put America first? Now, we ended this video talking about Speaker Mike Johnson. Of course, Trump made a huge announcement endorsing the speaker. And of course, there's individuals in MAGA who were shocked by that endorsement, to be honest with you. But listen, we did a video on that and other stories that happened yesterday. So if you guys want to check that video out, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.